What cannot divide Israel and Palestine? Why are these two countries at war? Welcome. This is Fractustv, and today we will talk briefly about the history of the conflict between these two countries, why this conflict started, and what these two countries want. Please subscribe to our channel. Let's start from the beginning. The complexity of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict can be traced back to the late 19th century when both Jewish and Arab nationalist movements emerged in the region. Arabs and Jews coexisted on this land when there was no Jewish state. Prior to the establishment of Israel, this territory was under Ottoman rule. During the Ottoman period, Jews and Arabs both resided in this region. In 1882, Jewish immigrants who had fled from Russia began to envision creating a state in their Holy Land. They actively pursued the idea of statehood since 1897, with Theodor Herzl being a prominent advocate of this vision. In 1917, Britain gained control of these territories and decided to allocate some of the land to the Jews. By 1937, Britain opted to partition the region that is now modern Israel into several parts, with only a small portion designated for Jewish settlement. At that time, the area known today as Israel was referred to as Palestine. According to the Jewish perspective, Arabs initiated significant settlement in the region after Jews had returned, as they had improved living conditions by developing various sectors. Arabs, on the other hand, assert historical ownership of the land, and they view the Jewish arrival and establishment of a state as an encroachment upon their territory. However, it is important to note that in the area now known as Israel, after Jewish settlement, an agricultural revolution occurred, effectively transforming the region into an oasis within the desert. In 1939, the British imposed restrictions on Jewish settlement quotas, limiting the number of Jews who could come to live there to no more than 75,000. Subsequently, World War I commenced, and the Jews aligned with the British. In 1947, the United Nations decided to allocate a portion of what is now Israel to the multinational Jewish population, although it would not be a full-fledged state, but rather a territory under United Nations control. This idea was well received by the Jews, but the Arabs did not like this idea, leading to a conflict. In 1948, Israel declared its independence. In the Declaration of Independence, it was stated that they wished for Arabs to remain alongside them, as they did not want to establish a mono-ethnic state. However, in response, the Arab nations decided to declare war against Israel. All the neighboring Arab countries, including Libya, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and Egypt, declared war on Israel. The Jews indeed emerged victorious in this war, retaining control over all the territory except for half of Jerusalem. As previously mentioned, the area now occupied by Israel was historically referred to as Palestine. Jews have resided in this region for generations, as they assert, although it is evident that they began building a state within Palestinian territory. According to Israeli statements, they have extended peace treaty offers to the Palestinians on numerous occasions, all of which have been declined. The Palestinians claim that they have lived in this area for generations and assert ownership of the land. Israel, on the other hand, maintains that the Palestinian government refuses to recognize Israel as a state. Israel criticizes Palestine for its ongoing attacks on the civilian population, and it's worth noting that the initial Hamas declaration stated that Israel should not exist at all, and that Jews should be removed. However, they later realized that gaining international support with such a declaration would be impossible, and thus this statement was changed. Israel strongly criticizes the Palestinian education system, where children are instilled with hatred of Jews from an early age, which they say is delaying peace talks between Palestine and Israel. Palestine accuses its weak Israel of occupying the West Bank and Gaza and violating the rights of civilians. At the same time, there are many facts that show how badly Israeli soldiers treat Palestinians. The Israel-Palestine conflict is a long-standing and deeply rooted dispute centered in the Middle East. It primarily revolves around competing national aspirations and territorial claims. The creation of the State of Israel led to the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinian Arabs. Since then, the conflict has resulted in multiple wars, numerous clashes, and ongoing tensions. Determining who is right or wrong in the Israel-Palestine conflict is a highly contentious and subjective matter. The conflict is deeply complex, rooted in historical, religious, and political factors, with both sides having legitimate claims, grievances, and narratives. Key issues at the heart of the conflict include the status of Jerusalem, borders, and territory, the right of return for Palestinian refugees, and the overall quest for a two-state solution. Over the years, peace negotiations have taken place, but a comprehensive and lasting resolution has remained elusive. The conflict has had profound humanitarian and political consequences, affecting the lives of millions in the region. It is essential to recognize that both Israelis and Palestinians have suffered losses and continue to experience hardships as a result of this conflict. Both sides have their own truth, and there is no way to resolve it at this point. However, the reality is that many civilians are killed by this combination. Both one and the other side commit many crimes. I hope this war will end soon and the parties will try to solve the problem peacefully. Thank you for watching. I tried to convey briefly and clearly the history of the conflict between the two countries. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.